Yeah, basically, I fucked a girl within under an hour, probably. I think was 45 minutes. This was many years ago in 2014. I was working on a cruise ship as usual. That was an American cruise line, and I met this woman, a short Asian American, beautiful. She was in the company of some other older guy. I saw her with another two older guys in different occasions, but I saw her on board and I interacted with her like less than a minute and less than 2 seconds in a couple of occasions on board of the ship throughout that cruise, maybe a matter of few days. And then I met her outside in a port of call in Mexico. It's called Loreto, which I found out about later through another friend from Mexico, because I forgot the name of this small village. Nice, quiet town, not village, yeah, a small town with the beach. We arrived there with the ship in at anchor, not in the port. There was no port, just anchor. There's no port there. It's a Mexican port called Loreto, and I was outside. I went outside. I saw a few friends coming out from the ship. I didn't follow them, and then I saw this woman on her own by herself, and I recognized she was a guest passenger from the ship that I saw a few nights before, and I talked only once because she asked me an information on the ship. She was an Asian American, short, but so beautiful. Everyone was looking out, or was after her. Everyone wanted to fuck her. Everyone liked her. And she was also a great seducer, by the way, because then I learned later on she had a secret to seduce people. Beside her beautiful face and body, she couldn't get any favor from anybody just with eye contact. But anyway, yeah, we fucked, and I'll explain how I got there. And we had a relationship for a few months. I got into a relationship for a few months. I loved her. I think she also loved me, but she was also some sort of crazy person, the opposite. Basically, she was the opposite of what I am and who I am. But my desire for her trumped everything, because type of person I couldn't stand having next to me now. This was 11 years ago in 2014. We were on this cruise ship. Of course, I was working. She was a guest passenger, and that was probably a 14 days cruise or 12 days cruise from California to Mexico, a few other places. That cruise, she was guest passenger. I was hunting. I was in my prime. Proactivities in approaching women and hunting for women. Yeah, we had sex on this place in Loreto, which was a town in Mexico. Which is a town in Mexico. My English sucks, right? I still believe my English is horrible. The more I speak and the more I grow older, and I realize English is not that as good as I thought it was, especially when I rewatch the videos. But I will go through the mistakes and errors and the shittiness of my English. So that morning I decided to go out with my tablet, probably to find some internet cafe, do some approaches possibly. So I said, okay, let's go and see what happened. Now in that period I was already learning seduction, being direct, being honest, telling the truth, go straight to the point, be straightforward, and rapid escalation. Rapid escalation here is key, because the book by Liam McRam that I found in those years, 2013, 14, basically that was responsible for me to get into this relationship with this beautiful Asian American woman. So that morning I decided to go out. I knew what I had to do, find an internet cafe and possibly approaching some woman. And I always had with me condoms and something else that I'll explain in a bit. As I was getting off the ship on the tender boat, because we were at anchor, I already saw some people in the tender boat from staff or crew, and I was almost there to say, oh, maybe I should talk to them and go out with them. But then I refrained and I said, no, I'm gonna stick with my plan. And in that period, I was already direct and straightforward. I already changed my behavior on not wasting too much time with the people, and I also had these goals and plans always to approach women, so I did not want to be with people. I had to be on my own. I developed these habits of being by myself for these reasons, because I had to practice skills and I wanted to approach women, and it was exciting and adventurous for me. So I did not want people tied to me or waiting for me or me waiting for them. I didn't want that. Always like this. That was 2014, the beginning of 2014, January. So I went out, I saw these people in the boat, some females, also attractive from crew staff, but I didn't follow them. Then I saw some other friend. I said, "Oh, maybe I should hang out," but I resist, and I refrained and said, "I'm gonna stay on my own." And then, as I was walking outside the pier of this town, to start walking to the town, there was first a beach on the right side, and I spot this woman, this guest passenger, Asian American, that I saw her few nights before. One night she was asking me an information in the company of an older guy. Another night I say to her, "Hey, hello, you remember me?" As I was walking past, and she was confused. What? Another night I saw her and she was staring at me. She was in a bar, at a bar with one of these guys. She was in the company of some older guys. And that's it. That morning I saw her by herself by the beach taking photos with a DSLR camera, like a professional camera. And I said, and I was direct. I didn't waste any time. I went to approach her, also because I was well trained in those months in approaching a ton of women. I went up to her and said, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "Hey, hi." She was making strong eye contact. That was her weapon, to make a high contact. She was beautiful face, short, very short, but beautiful body. And she goes, "Hi." And I go, my intention, my plan to go around and approaching some woman, find some woman. But she goes, "You want to hang out?" So as I mentioned, I did not like to waste time with the people. So I perceived, okay, she's a typical American who wants to waste my time. I'm not gonna let her do that. In my mind, I said, wait, why not taking the chance to see what happened and do my skills on her, practice my skills on her, and just see how far I can go. And in any case, I'm gonna go. If things go wrong or she's wasting my time, I will go. But I said in my mind, I'm gonna set the frame with her. So I said, okay, we'll hang out, but probably I have to stay only 5-10 minutes because I have things to do. I gotta go find internet and I have other things to do. We can walk together and hang out maybe 10 minutes, because I set this framing is she was gonna waste my time. My intention to escalate with her, touch, kiss, do something, hit on her, do something. If I saw good signs, if I would have seen good signs, I would stay, of course, longer and longer and longer. If the conversation would go on what I'm interested in, then I would have stayed. But if things were not going the way I wanted, then I would just leave. So I said, yeah, I can stay a few minutes and we can walk. So we start walking. In my mind, I go, okay, I'm gonna escalate right away to see if she likes. I start touching, and then I use some techniques, which is my way of doing things to escalate, which is I ask to hug, and then I say, can I lift you off the ground? So I lift her off the ground, and I planned in my mind, I was lifting, and on the way down I would kiss on her lips, and I did it. I went to kiss on her lips, and she was, oh my god, I can't believe you kissed on my lips. So now conversation was on a level of sexuality, of course, and we were walking on the beach. This beach was black sand beach. There was nobody. We walk, and I'm starting to talk sexual and being open mind and doing this sexual talk about relationship, men and women, because I was starting and learning all that stuff. So I want to share with her and to bring also on that level. Now I don't remember what I was saying to her. At some point we see another couple sitting on the beach. She apparently knew them, other guests, passengers. She was very friendly and sociable to everybody. She would make strong eye contact with everybody. But I was like, let's go. And I remember I was trying to convince her to move away because she wanted to engage these people. and I just kissed her maybe a couple times and start touching her, I was escalating, and she wanted to waste already time talking to this couple, which they were didn't seem happy to talk to her, by the way, because they were on an empty beach on their own, on a towel, sitting on the beach, and me and her, we were standing and walking. Some point I spot a building. It seems like abandoned, and I say, okay, let's get close to that building. And as we get close, there's a pool, there's pool chairs, and the building is a hotel. And I realize it's active, and it's an active hotel. They run a business, and we sit by the pool on this chair. Nobody asks us anything, and we start talking. I have already all my material to say to her. Not material, I was very natural, but I was talking sexual and having conversation on accepting sexuality from women, being open-minded, and I was saying, oh, I accept sexuality from women should enjoy, and she liked it. I was touching her legs and kissing more, and we were sitting on this sunbathing chair by the pool, talking more and more sexual, leading this conversation on sexuality, basically, and relationship and communication, being real, being direct. And this was basically my material to escalate. I was kissing, and then I don't know how it came up. I said, what if I'm gonna ask to the hotel that if they can give us a room? Because we were escalating, and I was touching probably everywhere. We were sexual. And probably I grabbed her hand on my dick. I was touching her pussy, over the clothes. And she was wearing shorts. It was a hot weather. I was wearing shorts and t-shirt and stuff like that. And so I said, I'm gonna ask if they can give us a room. And she goes, okay, but don't tell anybody on the ship. Probably she was this older guy. She took her on the cruise. I don't know. Then later on I found out. And nothing, I wanted to ask, and I had US dollars with me, cash, and I also had condoms, as I said, and I also had pills for erections. Yes, I was using those, not the V, but the L, called Levitra. And thanks God I had those. And as I was paying the hotel room, I think $60. I said, hey, I needed the room for 1 hour, $60. I also took this quarter of pill to have more confidence and be sure that I would, do. I was worried that she had left because she was waiting by the pool on the pool chair, sunbathing chair. So I paid. I had the key. I grabbed her. Okay, let's go. We went up. We went upstairs. I think one floor was very quiet around. There was nobody, and she started. As we enter in the room, she started to remove her clothes. She's this type of a crazy person, but I had anxiety. I had sex anxiety, and I also want her to take a shower, and I want to take a shower too. I want to take my time. I took the pill for it to take effect, and I was nervous. I was so fucking nervous. But eventually she takes a shower. I can't get it up. Eventually, a few minutes later, I can. And so this was already bad, a bad first impression, because I couldn't get it up. Then eventually I did, and I started doing it with the condoms. But then I hit my foot by the bed, and I remember this made me come fast. And so essentially, at the end of the day, I last like few minutes, maybe not even 2 minutes. I think it was probably 2 minutes. It was just too much. It was so hot, and I hit my toes, my foot, and I came, and I finished. That was not good. So when I couldn't get it up, I'm not gonna say what I was saying or what she was saying. She said, I thought you liked me. I said, we were waiting in this hotel room. We were on the bed in this hotel room with the sunlight. I mean, it was, maybe I closed the window, but it was daylight. There was some daylight coming in, not too much. Then we did. I finished fast and we stayed there. And then I think she said, I want to go see the city because she wanted to see the town. She was a guest, of course. Do you think, had I got a great erection right away, one, and number two, especially number two, had I last long, like 5-6 minutes first, a little bit, then take a break of a few seconds, then another 5-6 minutes, and then a few seconds break, and another 2-3 minutes, and then overall like 35-40 minutes, something like this, or even up to an hour and more. Do you think a woman would have said, I want to go and visit the town, in that small town, Mexico? So we dress up and we go together. So in my mind, I feel really confident. I fucked the girl maybe under 45 minutes, maybe 30, probably was 30 minutes. And the most, for me, the success was having applied what was in the book Rapid Escalation and a few other books, and being sexual, natural, direct, and real. That was amazing. In my mind, I could see only possibilities, incredible. But in my mind, I was also seeing, continuing to see this girl on board of the cruise ship every night and fuck the shit out of her every night. That was my plan. I said, whoa, I got a guest, a passenger. Because those guys who work on board of ships, not all, but I was like this. Our goal was always to get some guest, some passenger, female passenger. Not every man who works on a ship is like that, but I risked my job so many times. I got myself in trouble because it's against the rules. But anyway, I said, okay, I got a passenger and I'm gonna fuck her every night. Great. And potentially we're gonna see each other even outside. But then that same night, okay, by the way, we went around the city, the town. We ran into other guests from the ship, another old guy, and she was talking to this old guy. And I said, oh my God, why is she so friendly to everybody? And I convinced her to get away from this guy. He was also another time waster, this old American guy, maybe in his 60s. And I couldn't stand him. And I wanted to be alone with her because I wanted really to build like rapport. Eventually we walked together, and then we go back to the ship on the boat. The tender boat was at anchor, and then on the ship, and then contacts, cabin numbers, and I say, okay, I'll see you later. That night, I was looking for her, I couldn't find her, and eventually I saw her, but she was like evasive. She was not looking for me. She was distracted, making friends and drinking with other people and having other people buying her drinks. I think I saw her, but I saw, can we, and I was like, maybe, can we see each other later? She goes, yeah, I'll see you, maybe, I don't know what she said, I don't remember where, when, but I couldn't get her. And I felt a failure. I felt a failure, but also success. I remember these two things, mix of these two things, where I was proud, I was trying to focus on the fact that I applied all the steps and actions of the rapid escalation method, plus the being direct, real, and sexual mentalities. And I try to be focused on that and say, be proud of that, be happy with that result. But at the same time, I saw her in the company of other people and some other guys. So I also felt like miserable because I did fuck her. That was a proof that I was still attracted. I was sexy. I was attracted. I could get hot girls and I could escalate rapidly. But at the same time, that same night, she didn't want to see me. And I gave up. In my mind, I said, fuck her. I did what I did. I had this amazing experience outside. Eventually, the night after, I saw her again, and I saw her in company with other guys, other people. And I was jealous. I was very jealous, and she did not want to meet me to be each other. But there was something, something. It did happen between us, sex. She enjoyed meeting people, being friendly, laughing, playing at the casino. Later on, I learned that she was a professional casino poker player, she told me. And she proved to me, yeah. And one night, 2 nights, 3 nights, I was hanging around, but I did not want to join the groups of friends she was hanging out with, including some of my co-workers and colleagues. And I couldn't stand any of them because for me they were all time wasters, and I was this guy straightforward. I want to be direct. I did not want to be hanging out with the people, and I was staying in distance, and they all noticed me. And then one night I managed to talk to her in the club of the ship, and I did this to her, which is, I mean, doing this to a guest passengers, and because she was talking to these other people and ignoring me, so I did, in distance I did this to her, and she came talking to me, and I remember she said, "I don't deserve that. Why you say that?" And blah blah blah. And then she walked away again, back to these groups of people. I'm not gonna explain all the details. There were other people involved, other guys wanting to fuck her, and I felt I was losing her, even though I did fuck her. But she was this crazy slut, essentially. But I'm not gonna say all the dynamics, and also some friend of mine actually helped me to get her back. Through a suggestion, he said, "Go after her, follow her, she's going to the toilet. If you don't, this other guy over there will take her." And I just blindly followed this guy friend, American musician friend of mine. I followed this and I did it, and I got her. And then we got in private conversation, and then we separated again. And later on, at 3 a.m., she calls me in my room. It was the last night, her last night on board. I gave up. I said, "You know what? I did the rapid escalation in under 45 minutes. I fucked this woman. It was amazing. I'm happy with that." I went to sleep. 3 a.m., past 3 a.m., I received a call in my room. I had my own room back then, and it's her in her cabin, single guest passenger's cabin. She calls me, "It's my last night. I'm drunk. You don't want to come?" I thought, "You now call me? You called me only the last night? At this time?" I was almost saying no, but then I said, "Okay, let's go." I grabbed condoms and again the pill. I went there, and this time I did it better. We exchanged contacts. She was from California, somewhere in California. I was arriving in California every cruise for another month or so, in few parts of the California, and we were planning to meet first in San Diego and then mainly in San Francisco. And we did meet. There was some difficulties in San Diego, we couldn't meet, but in San Francisco we did meet. I took her on board again as a visitor this time, and we fucked. And then eventually the following time I disembarked and I went to her house. She took me to her house before my flight, because I had assigned a flight later at night. So I went to her house in the Bay Area, and I remember I fucked her like a porn movie. I did like a porn movie, a porn scene. Not only the position, but also how I finished and came into. I'm not gonna go in detail. Of course, we stay in touch, and then I fly back home in Europe, in Italy, and stay in touch. I had fear to book a flight to go back. She goes, "So what are you waiting for?" But thanks to some videos I was watching on YouTube on taking the courage and mentality and mindset, had it not been for some great thinkers on YouTube that said about fears, I had fears to book a flight back to California on my own expenses. But I did. I bought a flight and I went there. It was an amazing experience. And I stayed there for a while, for several weeks, months. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. Then I went back home. Then I joined another ship, this time in Europe, Northern Europe. And I planned to bring her on board, and this time she booked her flight. She came on board, but to stay with me, because I managed to get the permission to bring her on board as my girlfriend. And then it finished at the end of the cruise. But then at the end of the cruise, and that was the last time I saw her. But yeah, but I would say the main lesson here. But I did had several others rapid escalation adventures that I might say in other videos. It unfold that story. I never had anything like that happening again in a similar way, but I did have other rapid escalation adventures essentially. Even faster, by the way, but not as meaningful. Other stuff happened to me, basically. Other kind of experiences. Well, I hope you learned something. Subscribe to the channel, watch other videos on this channel. Let me know in the comment what you think of this video and the story of this video.